Greetings and welcome to the new moon eclipse psychic forecast. Things that we need to know about. For the live people, I apologize. I'm running a little bit late, but I'm here now. It's been a long day and I just got home a few minutes ago. But we've got everything ready for you. And what we're going to do is we'll talk a little bit about the unique astrology and the numerology connected to this solar eclipse that's coming up Sunday. We have 5 things that we need to know, some suggestions on spiritual exercises, and we'll do some divination cards at the end to get messages that maybe I don't know about, that I don't know yet. So anyway, hello, let's see, Doreen, Colleen again. A lot of Colleen and Doreen. I don't think, doesn't look like it. And oh, hi, Kathleen. So I don't know if anybody else is in, but we're here. So we're a party, right? I've got everything down in my notes, and as people are getting their notifications and hopefully find this, hello, George. As that's happening, I don't know about you guys. I'm definitely feeling something. I definitely woke up feeling kind of anxious, edgy, a little bit of heart palpitations during the day, things like that. And it just feel like something really, really big is about to happen. Now, we did just get a 7.8 powerful earthquake on the, how do you pronounce it, Camacha Peninsula. Again, where the 8.8 was in that rough neighborhood. And then the other 7.3 aftershocks, we just got a 7.8, I presume, an aftershock from the big event. So as predicted, all this solar activity, this coronal hole, the Mercury conjunction, and all this stuff is energizing the sun, which is energizing the earth. And I think this is going to catalyze more earthquake and volcanic activity. So I don't know what else is going on today, but in any event, something big's in the air. So hello, the buttonist. Hello, Karen. All right. And you've been a little bit anxious today, and you've been multitasking. Yeah, you had jury duty. Oh, that's always a lot of fun, right? Um, all right. So anyhow, very good. So the world is going crazy. Yeah. So we definitely have that energy of the world just kind of going very crazy, and a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. So we definitely have that. So I've been on almost 3 minutes. I think it's time to jump in. So firstly, we have the new moon. It's an eclipse. It's 29 degrees. So it's at the very last degree of Virgo. It's, in a way, I guess you could call it an astrological blue new moon because it's the second new moon in Virgo. This one just happens to be an eclipse. So the moon and the sun during the new and full moons are aligning with the elliptical plane, and that's why we have eclipses during those seasons. And it's a partial lunar solar eclipse, excuse me. And at the peak, about 85% of the sun will be covered. So it's pretty exact. That'll be mostly all in the southern hemisphere. I think parts of Australia, New Zealand, and Antarctica are going to be able to see that, but not up here so much. And a couple of interesting things. Firstly, in numerology, it's a 21 day that reduces to 3. So that's growth and expansion. Now, the new moons are the template of the whole 29 day cycle of the moon. So when we have the moment of the new moon, whatever the aspects and the planets are, that's sort of the sacred geometry that the planets make that kind of give us an idea of what's going on energetically and how that's playing out in the planetary motions. So it's really kind of like the groundwork that we're working with this new moon. Now, if you understand your astrological chart, you could do a composite and see where the new moon is in your chart, what house it's in, how the aspects are playing out. Then you may get more of a personal forecast of what's going on and what's playing out in the energies. But so once we understand these energies, then we can do things to build on it, to negate some of the challenges, as well as to accentuate the benefits and the power behind this. So in any event, so new moon is going to oppose Saturn. Saturn's at 29 degrees Pisces, which means even though it's in a different sign in Western astrology, that means it's opposing Neptune. And I think it's about 2 or 3 degrees of Aries right now, or I think less. Trining Uranus, trying Pluto, although it's not natural because it's not in the trining sign, and it's like at the very end of the sign. But angularly, it still has the same effect. It's still the planetary geometry. It's still creating that frequency effect here on the Earth. And then we also have Venus squaring Uranus. So Uranus is a big player. Mercury trines Pluto and Uranus and opposes the Neptune Saturn conjunction. And then Mars is also trining, or is it squaring Pluto? Mars is squaring Pluto. Mercury's trining, but Mars is squaring Pluto. So the point being is that all 3 of the inner planets are in direct alignment with the 4 outer planet alignment. The outer planets really show us large-scale generational changes here on the world, and the inner planets are the movers and shakers that catalyze and activate those changes. So what we're seeing in this lunar cycle is a lot of that. Hello, Trista and Karen and Robin, welcome, and Janice, welcome. And I'm sorry that you're disturbed by your experience, Buttoness, but very good. And yeah, there's a lot of intense energy, so hang in there, everybody. I'm drinking my lemon water. It's a really, really good time to be purging and cleansing. This is really big and huge energy. The lunar eclipse was big. The solar eclipse is even bigger. And like I said, the moon and the sun are in conjunction. That's why it's a new moon, and solar eclipses can only happen right on the new moon. It's aspecting all of these planetary bodies. So it's really, and it's on the world axis too. I think I have that in my notes too. Anyway, what else? So we have 3i Atlas. So we have that energizer from a distant star system coming in. There's been 6 other comets that are now active in the inner solar system, one that was just discovered. And, you know, the comets, I mean, they don't have a huge influence, but they have an influence on solar activity because the comas or the tails have plasma. It's ionic, so it's affecting the electromagnetic flux around the sun and around the sun. But this 3i Atlas, as I've explained in other videos, it's got a coma, you know, roughly half the diameter of the sun. It's a low density coma. I think it's a high density object, but it's still plasma and dust, so it's got a big electrical charge to it. Its orbit is going to be, you know, not that close to the sun, not like Oumuamua that was between Mercury and the sun, even though that was a much more of an inert object with a lesser electrical potential. It was so close to the sun that it really upset the circuitry, especially because it passed between Mercury and the sun. And what happened? 2017, the biggest solar flares of that solar cycle, 3 years, 2 to 3 years past solar maximum. That's what happened. So this is bigger, it's more active, and there's other bodies affecting it. I think that there's going to be a similar effect on the sun, which affects the Earth. So anyway, just figured to mention that's what else in my notes. This new moon eclipse heralds, I can't read my writing, of course. Oh, it heralds in Libra season. So just like an hour or so, right at the time of the new moon in Virgo, the moon goes void, of course, briefly. So it passes its last major aspect in the sign Virgo. Then I think 2 hours later, it hits the sign Libra. So it's really heralding in Libra. It's on the world axis, so it really hits things that are going on in the planet and society. So they're harbingers of change. They're releasing a lot of energy, and eclipses happen, you know, roughly 4 eclipses per year. But this one has a lot of extra juice. I'm going to explain more of that as I get more into the forecast here. But this new moon heralds in Libra season. So eclipse on the world axis, and it's on the end of a sign. And it's also on the United Nations International Day of Peace, which is interesting, September 21st. And of course, the day right before the equinox. So we have that equinox energy, the balance. So we have all the stuff. So this will bring a huge energetic shift to the collective. Old towers falling will be accelerated. That's been a theme for a while. And hello. So Conspiracy Tower, you changed your name. I don't remember what your old name was, but welcome, Conspiracy Tarot. Welcome, welcome. So anyways, so let's get into the 5 things that we need to know, and that'll lead into more energetic. So Jason feels that 1010 is going to be crazy. We have a smaller group in live, so I can do this and not fall too far behind. Very good. Hello, Sunrise Jesus. Welcome. Hello, Kiki Low. Gracious or gracias. And Karen saying, I'm trying to relay this information to my sister. You're talking. It's second new moon in Virgo. Yeah, second new moon in Virgo. Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. There's big market crash. I'll look more into that. It's certainly possible. Something's gotta give, and it's gotta shift, right? Uh, and you say, oh, thank you, Jason, for the super sticker. That's so much. That's so appreciated. Let me show that super sticker. It's blue today. I guess on my channel I have 2 scenarios. Either the Eyes Atlas went through a part of our galaxy. I'm pretty it made it glow differently, as well as I think wow, interesting colors of the chakra to send healing. Well, it went green, and the interesting about that is interesting thing about that is when I did the first video where I was doing the remote viewing and I got some information about 3i Atlas, I was very much drawn to use a green comet, the image of a green comet. So just last week that astronomers discovered it starting to glow green. So that I found that interesting also. That's heart chakra. Before it was glowing more of a rusty red. That's more root, right? So interesting. Thank you for that. Conspiracy Tarot. Thank you for that. Yeah. Love you too, Heart Sage. Welcome, everybody. Let me grab some more water. So the first thing that we need to know is the Energizer Bunny has arrived. So that's the first thing. Very, very energizing. Usually we look at new moons as times where the energies are a little bit lower. We come into a dark moon. Things tend to be a little bit more mellow around the new moon, but not this time. I mean, I think solar eclipses are generally an exception anyways. It's arguable that maybe the April 2024 solar eclipse was as bigger than this one, but either way, it's still really, really close. 1010 Libra energy. Yep. 1010 is an important date also. It'll be that's about 17, 18 degrees Libra also. No, actually, it's closer to 17. Yeah, closer to 17. Anyway, so the Energizer Bunny. This will intensify the energies in our lives as well as the world. So it's going to intensify things going on in your life. So if there's drama in your life, try to solve that before the eclipse because it's just going to intensify. But if there's a lot of love, it's going to intensify that also. All new moons are new beginnings. It's a new cycle. When there's an eclipse, there's an interplay of shadows, which I'll get to in a little bit. But it's really energizing. That's really one of the things. And all of these, it's aspecting so many planets, inner and outer planets alike. So it's really tapping into a lot of universal flow and energy. And I think it's really going to create a lot of higher frequencies affecting the earth and affecting our conscious fields, affecting the collective fields, so to speak. And it's going to catalyze change, and change starts from within. So it's going to really start to work on and whittle away some of the old worn thinking in the collective and start to introduce new ideas. Now, of course, the very dense aren't going to get it, but the ones that maybe are kind of in the balance, that they're not sure, maybe they're starting to become aware of more spiritual things, they're starting to have experiences. Those are the ones that can really get catalyzed. And of course, most of us that have undergone one or more awakening already, because there are several that we undergo in the path, it'll just catalyze and add to that and speed things up, accelerate things. So the Energizer Bunny accelerates, keeps going, right? What else? Different comets in the inner solar system add energy, so that helps. This will likely intensify geological and atmospheric conditions. Now, there is a tropical storm that may become a hurricane. It's a little disorganized, but there's a few waves behind that. So I think we may see 1 or 2 very powerful hurricanes in the Atlantic and at least one more in the Pacific. I maintain through the whole hurricane season wouldn't be as active as forecast by the experts, but still active. But so far, it's been less active than normal. So far, I'd be happy to be wrong. I'll eat crow, little salt, a little puree. It doesn't taste bad, but I'd be happy to be wrong about that. But I still think we're gonna have a little bit of a backloaded hurricane season this year, especially if from the perspective of a meteorologist, if we do start to go into a La Nina, which lessens the shear and that can create more it's more conducive for tropical development anyway. So, but geological, that's earthquakes, that's volcanoes, and that's other things. Solar activity, that's solar flares. The sunspots are starting to activate again. We had a huge butterfly-shaped coronal hole. And I may not have mentioned this in the video because it's in between videos, but I did mention it in the post that for the next 72 hours after that, the world was on earthquake watch. I'm borrowing that line from Stefan Burns. For those of you that don't know his channel, he's an amazing geophysicist that combines science and spirituality, which is why I love him. Because it's been, kind of shown through time that when we get these big coronal hole um, ionic stream impact, that there's usually more earthquake or volcanic activity. Not all the time. So I wasn't saying it's definitely going to happen. And I think this may have been a little bit past the 72-hour window. I think it was more like 4 days after the actual event, which I felt. It was like boom, it really hit me hard, and there were all kinds of auroras that wasn't expected. So a 7.8 is the second biggest earthquake of the year. There's a 7.7 in Burma. Of course, there's the big 8.8 off the Kamchatka Peninsula. Am I pronouncing that right? Off of Russia. So this aftershock, if it was part of the aftershock sequence, an earthquake, it sends a seismic wave through the earth. And we had this coronal hole, which activates it activates the movement and energy of the earth, plasmic energies, all that kind of stuff. And then we have the eclipse, which is very intense because it's as new as a new moon can be. So when we have an eclipse, a solar eclipse, basically it's not only conjunct on a horizontal plane, but also on a vertical plane. And that's why it's an eclipse. So other new moons, the new moon is either below or above the sun. So it's not vertically in conjunction. So we have that both of those gravitational forces that are the two strongest that act on the earth really acting as one. And it's really creating, that kind of an energy and effect, kind of like, what's the right word? Kind of like taking a magnifying glass and beaming it in sections of the earth. It's going to be more in South America, closer to the South Pole. So the South Pole is kind of like the descendant or the South Node in a way, kind of like it. Use your imagination a little bit. Because it's not really the same, but it's basically energizing the southern portion of the planet, and then the energy streams into the northern portion. Therefore, New Zealand, that's subduction zone in New Zealand. Also, the underground volcanoes near Tahiti. Yeah, there's a lot of faults. So that's an area on high alert about from the eclipse to about a week after. So we'll see what happens. Also, they show me, California. That's always on the table. All right, going back to my notes. So this will likely intensify. All right, it'll also intensify our moods, our emotions, higher highs, lower lows. Also, socially and geopolitically will be intensified by this energy too. Huge planetary shift accelerates. So it's really adding a lot of energy to the system that's already volatile. I don't think it's going to take a lot for it to crack. As daunting or scary as that sounds, it's gotta, like the old's gotta fall in order for more people to get in order to start to come into a higher vibration and a higher level of society to rebuild, basically. So that's the first thing to know. Second thing to know is change is in the air. Things accelerating on the world stage, and this eclipse, which is the Energizer Bunny, right? A solar eclipse, happening right on the world axis, less than a degree off of the world axis. So that's 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, if anybody's wondering what that means, because I'm using that term. And then secondarily, 15 degrees of the fixed signs, also by some astrologers considered the world axis. Some have a different name for it, but right on the 0 degrees of the cardinal sign is always going to be the first day of a season. In this case, first day of autumn. So it's right before, it's less than a day before first day of fall. So changes in the air, things accelerate on the world stage, and likewise things accelerate in our own lives. So it's personally and globally, because we're not separated. The earth is living, it's breathing, it's conscious. So are we. We're beings of the earth. So we are connected. What happens in the earth happens with us. And what happens with us has an effect on the earth also, and with each other. Because now science is starting to prove what the mystics have known all along, that we're all connected. We're only separated by the physical, by the illusion, but energetically we're all connected. And what goes on in our lives affects others, and vice versa. And what happens with us affects the earth, and vice versa. So outer planet alignment and so much energy on the world axis is really shifting the balance of power. We're not going to see it right on the eclipse. We may not even see the effects in this particular lunar cycle, but it's going to kick off. And it's been happening already. So when I say kicking off, we mean to a higher level, a much higher level is what Spirit's telling me as I'm talking. Eclipses bring big change, especially on the sign cusps. So it's right on the sign cusp. And if you're born around a cusp, I'm born on the cusp of Virgo Libra on the other side. So it's going to be conjuncting my sun, even though in Western astrology, it's not in my sign. In sidereal astrology, am I pronouncing that right? Or Vedic astrology, my sun would be about 6 degrees of Virgo, and this is going to happen at 4 degrees Virgo. Again, close to a cusp in the Indian or Vedic system of astrology also. So anyway, interesting note. I'm used to Western astrology, so that's the one that I use, but I see a lot of merit in sidereal astrology as well. So anyway, eclipse is a big change, especially on the sign cusp. Now Uranus and outer planets heavily aspect this eclipse that brings generational changes, but it gets catalyzed by this energy. So I think this is like a big shift, a big energetic shift that we've been building up to for many years. We've been talking about on the channel here probably since 2020, but in earnest since 2022. And I got the message that the light had won, or the shift had happened. So the shift had happened. The light winning doesn't mean the dark goes away. It means basically it tries harder to live is what it means. The beast does not want to die. So things get a little crazier before they get better. But this is like another event of a series of events that's catalyzing great change. But this is a biggie. So anyway, all right, where were we? So this is a cosmic turning point. That was a point that got emphasized to me. More revolutionary activities, more demonstration. And, the energies have started already, even back with the other eclipse. So we're seeing that building and building. I think it's going to hit a crescendo and then beyond between now, the eclipse, and through November. So I think it's going to be a huge time of revolutionary change on our world. People just aren't going to take it anymore is the bottom line, basically. Let me check your comments for a second. With all these missing photos. Yeah, a lot of people aren't on today that are usually on. Yeah. They'll probably watch the replay. Just joking. All right, so I'm just checking out some of your comments. All right. I went down and wow, what a trip that is. I'd love to do that. So I'm manifesting the money and the resources to go to Egypt in 2027 and then to Australia in 2028. 2028 will be the lead into my 70th birthday, so that's a big year. If I can only do one, I'll do the Outback trip. Those are 2 total solar eclipses that are going to be happening. All right, cosmic turning point. All right, a powerful call to action energy comes to us. So a lot of us are going to feel moved into some kind of action. Doesn't have to be revolutionary. Your action could be doubling down on your spiritual practice, or starting a class, or starting a YouTube channel because you know you've got something to share and teach with the world, all that kind of stuff. So waves of higher consciousness, higher than ever happened. Time for spiritual revolution also. So we know, we talk about it a lot on the channel, that there is a war on consciousness going on. There are powers that want to control humanity. We could look at that in a lot of different lenses because people have different ideas of what that means. But if you want to take it just on a purely mundane level, leaving out like extraterrestrials or spirit guides, and really look at the tangible earth, well, um, us awakening and coming to our power means that we can't be exploited as much anymore, and that's for money, and they can't control us as much anymore. So so that's really that spiritual revolution. So that's point number 3, right? I'm just starting point number 3. Point number 3 is the spiritual revolution. Okay. Third thing that we need to know. So changes in the air, big spikes in awakening, personally and globally. So this is a good time to focus on your spiritual awakening. This can increase aggression, but ultimately lead to peace and reform. So yeah, I think things still have to spike and play out. We'll see what happens with Russia and Ukraine. I've been kind of warm on there being some movement towards peace. I haven't seen it yet. I had made a prediction, what was it, for September in the autumn, and before that, that there'd be peace negotiations around the 21st. I mean, today's what, the 18th? Ain't looking good for that. But perhaps that happens during the course of this lunar cycle. Doesn't mean there's going to be peace immediately, but I think that energy is going to come. But the energy really can lead to more stress, but lead to peace. New spiritual groups, new earth leaders start to emerge under this energy. We start to see more about underground movements. People that are making a difference. We start to see more. Well, I think this isn't in my notes, but this just came. I think one thing is, unfortunately, there may be more assassination attempts on high-level officials. I think there's more people stepping down and resigning. We talked about that in other forecasts, and it's been happening, obviously. And I think it gets replaced by people that are of higher consciousness, whether they're just people that are more aware, or ascended mastery, even extraterrestrial guys that step into these positions of power and start to change and reform things from the inside out. So it's happening, but it's not going to happen immediately. It's years and even decades until the process is complete. But this is a big turning point, huge turning point, and the eclipse is an astronomical and astrological event that is kind of like the center point of that turning point. It's kind of like the cog at the center of the wheel, not the cog, but the center of the wheel, so to speak, that everything's spinning around. So let's see, increase in solar activity, DNA activation. So as the sun perks up and those light code frequencies, they affect our consciousness, and they help to activate DNA. And I'm kind of changing my vernacular a little bit around DNA. I would call it DNA awakening until a few weeks ago I was channeling and got the message. Your DNA is conscious. It's living, it's alive. It's not so much. I mean, yeah, it's dormant because there's less awareness, but the idea of activating and energizing it, to me, that resonates more. So activating these higher DNA strands, and we become more aware, and we develop or redevelop more of our superhuman abilities, to heal ourselves and to facilitate healing for others. Higher intuition, healing ourselves, all the stuff. Transmutation of matter, all these things are abilities that we have. So anyway, increased solar activity, DNA activation could be an important lunar cycle for extraterrestrial contact and communication with extraterrestrial, interdimensional inner earth beings, and beings of light and consciousness like that. So that's basically that. I'll try to look, heart stage. I'll try to look more into that for my next one. Oh, Robin, I'll definitely come down to Australia. Yeah. Um, it's going to be up and down. I think it's got to reset. There may be, a little bit of a, I think even, this month into October, but I think, it's got to, things have to happen in order for people to wake up. And certainly this energy can be applied to the economy also. And let me go back into some of my most spiritual revolution. All this stuff can be applied to that too. Change in the air, all of these, and Energizer Bunny. So yeah. So for a time, the economy may take a hit, but understand like the investments and what's safe and what's going to hit. But anyway, like I said, I'll work on that for the next one. I mean, it's not too far off. I think next week I do the October psychic forecast already. My gosh, time is flying. So the fourth thing to know is yeah. Say it's almost like living in the somewhere. Thank you, George. Living in the past or living in the. It's like every day I wake up, I feel like I'm a new person. It's crazy as that sounds. It's just like I'm feeling differently. I'm perceiving things differently. I mean, I'm still the same spirit. I'm still Adam, and of course, Adam's just an identity. It's not even who I am. I'm spirit and energy and source. Um, but it's all different. Yeah. So number 4 is healing the shadows. And of course, eclipses are about the interplay between light and shadows. That's what eclipses are. And the moon actually in the solar eclipse hides the light of the sun, reminding us how our own shadows can block out our own light and our own truth. So this is a reminder. So solar eclipses are really, really good time to do your shadow integration work or to step it up. And it starts by being present, being in the heart, opening the heart, setting the intentions. And then you can work with techniques. I've got videos. I have a whole playlist on shadow integration work that you can work with. And if I remember, I'll pin to the pin comments for this video when it becomes a video once we stop here. So the moon hides the light of the shadows, remind us how our own shadows can block our light and our truth. And the eclipses are especially powerful for that. Yes. Also, hidden truths get exposed. So things rise to the surface. So this is going to be a big month of new exposures. And I was going to say maybe the Epstein list, but Spirit just interjects, say, what we may find are more about the reason of why there's an Epstein list that hasn't been exposed in the first place, because it's there. His client list is known. It's known, but we can't see it. So the reason why we can't, I think that's more of what's getting exposed. Because, I think at the end of the day, very high level officials, past and present, we're on that and we're part of that. And it's just like I don't think everyone's going to get brought to justice. I think we're only going to have partial knowledge. I mean, as the case goes, because this is like exposing a lot of the shadows in the world, things that have been hidden from us, the lies, the deceits, and all that stuff, the hidden agendas, and just that the powers that be don't want us to see that, so that they can maintain control, basically. So anyway, moving back to notes, I suppose. So the eclipse, especially powerful, also hidden truths get exposed from our own subconscious, as well as around global issues. Yes, 24th, that's me. Thank you. Emotions are amplified under this energy. Well, no surprise there. It is an eclipse. It is very powerful. And the moon is about emotions and feelings. Now, Librans balance is key. So do your heart-brain coherence. We have a playlist on how to do that also. And the way I teach it, I call it heart-brain spirit coherence. And my time is flying high. Yeah, very soon it's going to be pumpkin season. Hello, Jody. Welcome. And what's conspiracy theories? That it's changed perception. It's ego death every night. That's the way of looking at it. It's how I describe it: connection to the void, spirit, quantum realms, Akashic records, all the same thing, different names. Exactly. Yes. Okay. Do I have any updates on the economy? Prices in the U.S. are unbearable. Yeah. No, I think, again, it fits into the theme of things getting exposed, of why prices are higher, what's going on, why are supplies being withheld, because it's all driven for a purpose, basically. So this is really about uncovering the hidden truths behind what we see in the world, like rising prices and everything like that. Um, Tariffs get blamed for some of it, but it can't explain all of it. So I think that there's that kind of price gouging that goes on that's legalized in some way. So anyway, emotional Libra balance is key. Moon goes void, of course, right at the height of the eclipse. So right when the moon and sun hit that conjunction, the moon is void, of course, only for a couple of hours. So void, of course, what's that? That's the void. When the moon's void, of course, we go more inward. Understanding the void is simply understanding that we are as much the void as we are the light. So every moment we go in and out of the void many, many times every second. And if you can really get super present, so we'll start with the exercise a little bit early tonight. Get super present, tune into your breath. You're not a name, you're not a body. Find the once you're really super present, you don't want to be in your thinking mind, but gently set an intention that you're going to find the space of non-existence within the existence. You can start with something easier. Find the space of silence within the sound. Everything's in waves, including reality, cosmic waves. So sound waves are such. There's crests and there's troughs. There's always spaces of silence within any sound. So find that. But if you try to find it, you won't be able to. You have to be very meditative, very present, and just get it. Then find the space of darkness within the light. Light is waves. It's also photon, but they say that light is both particle and wave, which I guess is true, but there's no mass. So my scientific training and my brain has a hard time with that. But anyway, there are light waves. That's the point I'm trying to make. So anyway, so this will also enhance intuition. It's a good time to really get very meditative, get very quiet, eat light and stuff like that, especially on that day. Will also enhance intuition, and is a good time for psychic development and getting new messages from spirit, as it naturally, this energy naturally enhances your connection. And again, the energy of the eclipse is lasts a couple of months. Some people say it lasts 6 months. In a way, it does, but every 6 months we have the next eclipse season. So in a way, that's just saying that we're always in some aftermath energy of the prior eclipse, which may be true, but really the focus on the next couple of months, 40 days, they're saying 40 to 60 days. That's where a lot of the energy plays out with the eclipse energy. So good time during this whole time. Of course, we come into October, the veils are thin, so it's easier to connect with our guides and our loved ones on the other side, in that energy as well. Also great for all levels of healing, because this is Virgo energy, Mercury energy, and it goes into Libra, the balance. Very, very healing energy, healing ourselves and helping others to heal. Penetrates the veils of illusion to uncover the true source of disease. That could be the source of our disease. It may not be pathogens. It may not be even a genealogy. That might be what's expressing whatever the true source is, and that's energetic, and that's based on how balance is happening, how the circuitry of our energetic fields, our nervous systems and our bodies are in balance or out of balance, as the case may be. And when they're out of balance, then there's areas of lower energy or obstruction, and that's where in our energy field where the disease starts to grow and manifest, basically. So anyway, all levels of healing, penetrates the veils of illusion to uncover the true source of disease, heightened dreams, heightened intuition, helps restore the balance with that Libran energy that we jump right into. I think Mars just went into Libra, right? Did Mars just go into Libra? I will let you know in a second. I bring this for a reason. Mars, Venus just went to Virgo, or it's going to Virgo tomorrow. I don't know when Mars goes into Libra. I think that happened, or anyway. Sorry, I don't have the date. Anyhow, let's move along. All right, yeah, I'm just reading your comments. Conspiracy tarot, very good. Okay. And my quantum professors told not to me, trying to make sense of it, or we'll never sleep again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's what I have to say about the Epstein list. Thank you. Yeah, that's more or less what's come through me also. Yeah. And you're October 21st. Wow. So that's another cusping sign on Libra. So number 5 thing to know is endings and beginnings. All new moons are new beginnings and new cycles beginning. But with the void of course moon, with the last degree of the sign, this is also accentuating endings to this particular new moon. So more powerful. All new moons are new beginnings, even more powerful during eclipses. This one at the end of the sign also catalyzes endings and completion. So that which you no longer need, that you can start to purge. So it's a good time for purging. This new moon is ideal for clearing space for new beginning to happen. So the new beginnings is clear the old, clear your energetic fields, purge what you need to purge. So it's new beginnings, but it's going to happen very strongly by focusing on clearing whatever has been obstructing for you to manifest that you want in the first place. So making that the focus is really going to help. And it's also in a 21 3-day numerology. That's about growth and expansion. It's Jupiterian, so it's very much about wealth, about power, empowerment, personal power, not power over others. And there's a spiritual quality to it also, basically. And so expansion and intention on this new moon align with this. We'll get extra power, basically. So I know I use the word basically a lot. Oh, okay. So it's about to happen. Thank you for I mean, so it's happening more or less at the same time, So Mars is, it's going to be at the last. Oh, Mars goes into Libra, not. Yeah, that's what I said, not Scorpio. So basically, Mars is conjunct. The Mars is conjunct. If it's in the last degree of Virgo now, it's conjunct that. So Mars is also an energizer bunny, right? Somehow I missed that in the beginning. All right. Well, Mars is energizing that. So that was point number 1 if you came in late, that this is the energizer bunny. So anyway, some exercise to do. Now, I'm not going to do a meditation and activation tonight. We're going to do that on Sunday at 7 or 8, depending, because I'm going to be in Oneonta doing an event this weekend, and there's not going to be any tarot time on Sunday because I'm going to be doing an event. Actually, I'm going to be doing something in a spiritual service that day, so I won't be available for tarot time. Sorry about that, but I'll be back in time to do the activations for the eclipse, and Heather's going to join me. So she's going to do her healing activation. I do activation with the master teachers to align your energies and frequencies to best take advantage of and align with the frequencies of this eclipse for your ability to purge and to step into higher power. So we assist with that because it's an energetic channel that we do. And if you haven't done that before, it's something you should experience, because a lot of people tell me afterwards they feel the energy in their body, they feel the buzzing, they feel their chakras opening. So they're very powerful beings of light. I call them the master teachers, and they work with my energy fields when I channel. If you're following the meditation, we create this circle of energy, and they're able to activate you also, assist in your activation, so they're able to what's the right word, to energize the fields to raise your vibration and frequency, basically. So anyway, so cleansing and purging, eat light and healthy. So your systems are going to be very, very sensitive around this new moon. It's already beginning. So eat light and healthy. You're becoming more light, basically. You're becoming more fine-tuned to higher frequencies now. So work in higher frequencies. Try not to get involved in the dense thing. In fact, for about 72 hours, it wouldn't hurt to just shut off social media and the news, except for necessities, because negative forces can access us through social media and so forth. Um, um, and work with a lot of presence meditation, intuition sharpening exercises and stuff like that. And they're also saying to work with the violet fire or ultraviolet or white fire. So you can work with Saint Germain or the ultraviolet fire transmission. You can find that on YouTube from Steve Noble. It's a great process of meditation. If you haven't found that one yet, called the ultraviolet fire angelic transmission or something like that. Um, um, and what else? They're saying to do physical things. I'm asking, maybe do more yoga, do a little bit more stretching, yoga, qigong, things that will calm and will help to remove cog. Because in these higher energies, the less cog we have, the smoother the energy flows. We have a lot of cog, which are unhealed shadows or whatever that are obstructing your energy fields. When higher frequencies go through us, that's what creates the ascension symptom. It can literally cause pain emotionally or physically. But deep breathing, long deep breathing, 3 minutes at a time, 3 times a day works wonders. Very, very simple. Nothing we do is complicated. Everything in spirituality is simple. We're complicated, spirit simple. Just do this 3 times a day. Stop your thoughts. Relax your shoulder. Relax your chin and cheeks. Relax your forehead. The rest of your body will follow. Take a few deep breaths. Then imagine all the love and the light of the universe around you. Take deep inhale in. Draw that into your heart. Circulate that. Exhale, release all cogs, blocks, other people's energy, the crazy world. Do that for 3 minutes. Do that 3 times a day. 9 minutes of your day is going to make your day so much better. And you're going to regain that 9 minutes in being more clear-minded and more efficient with everything that you do and less subject to all this negativity, all this control stuff that's going on, basically. So work on things like that would be my recommendation. Hi, Colleen. So I had a premonition and then it happened. Oh, very good. Yeah, we're all going to be a little bit more psychic under this energy. Oh, well, the St. Anthony, yeah, I'm sorry that you'll miss me in tarot time this week. Yeah. And Janice is saying, yes, the energy and healing has a matter. And once, yeah, they tend to be good. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. And client saying, found a shiny penny. Then a short time later found it. Oh, found it. Dear elder Timmy. Yeah, Timothy. I'm hearing Timothy Leary's dead. That old Moody Blues song, great song about somebody that was very maligned by the media and press. But it's really a like a trailblazer of consciousness. So anyhow, so we have the Moonology card, of course, because it's a lunar event that's happening. And what are we saying when I meditate? Feels okay. I don't know about precautions so much. I mean, if you feel to call on your higher guides, by all means. But I think that you're gearing up to throat chakra activation, so I think your channeling is going to get stronger. You can invoke the blue light, and that's going to enhance the experience. But the idea, we just need to be in the mindset that we're always safe and protected. And if we run across any negative spirits or people or entities, it's part of our test and our growth that we're not really going to get harmed. So if we can get fear out of the equation and see it as just part of a process, that's probably about 70 to 85% of your spiritual protection right there. Just being confident that the one that created you is protecting you always, and your guides and angels are there. And then from there, yes, use common sense, obviously. They're not that I was going to talk about this, but since they're just flashing mRNA in my mind, I think one of the shadows that's going to get exposed is things that went on. Yeah, when these treatments, as it were being mandated, basically, without the proper foreknowledge or whatever it is. I think something is going to come out about that whole thing. They're using the word debacle, so I think some news is going to come out around that. Again, this eclipse, especially even more than the lunar eclipse, is the perfect energy to just blow things out of the water, to expose a lot that's been hidden. Another thing, and I may have to add this in my October, but I keep seeing the image of like a nuclear detonation, which I hope is just a potential that never happens. But I mean, it could be a metaphor, but I think one of the things is to keep an eye that there may be some threat of like nuclear activity around the they're calling it the blemishes or the skirmishes around the world. We're not gonna use the term that ends with the Roman numeral 3 for this, because it ain't happening. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Anyway, back to Moonology cards. Okay. And this is the one they drew me to. Top card here. And this is a blue moon. This is kind of a blue new astrological new blue moon. Right? That's usually a term for the second full moon of a calendar month. It's called the blue moon. Believe in the impossible. So we have these extraordinary high frequency energies, ultra high frequency energies that can manifest the impossible, basically. So I think it's saying that no dream is not possible. I mean, it always has to be for the highest good to manifest anyway, your highest good of everybody. But that said, I just can't see most of the people that are drawn to the medium channel using their powers manipulatively to harm others anyways. So believe in the impossible, shoot for the stars. I think that that's part of the message that they want to give us, that it's not impossible and that you can do it. A lot of it is programming. So when we do shadow work, we're really purging the programming. So do reprogram. I've got several videos on the Medium channel about techniques to reprogram also. I like to do sleep programs, affirmations, and just work on my own energy. If I get angry or frustrated, try to step outside of myself and observe myself getting angry and frustrated. Like Joe Dispenza, many a great teacher, teaches us to do that. Then we're not the program anymore. We're watching how we've been programmed, because programming is much of it is emotional in nature. It hijacks our emotions and forces us into behaviors and reactions that aren't of us. They're of the program, not of our spirit, not of ourselves. And if we learn how to separate the two, then we have an awakening right then and there. And it starts by just getting in the habit that every time you're triggered by something, to be the observer of that trigger. Don't try to stop it, because you're just going to work against your own energy. Step back and observe it. Then you start to, over time, understand where that comes from, and then you start to heal that, basically. And it often comes in, in subconscious shadows, as well as how we've been programming and socially conditioned in this world by the powers that want to keep us from achieving our highest power, to keep us under their control, rather than us evolving and awakening to our higher realities, our higher spiritual potentials, as it were. This one popped out, so I want to read this one. This is full moon eclipse. So that was our last eclipse. This is a new moon eclipse, but conclusions are within reach, and it shows like the moon within the trees. So the trees are partially blocking the moon, but I think it's their way of saying that seeing through the weed, seeing through all the clutter. There's still a beautiful bright moon out there, even if the clutter in your life or in society around other people is obstructing that to some degree. So there's that. So let's see, what are you guys doing? Oh, thank you. Yes, I love you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That helps to get this video out to more people, and be related to just absolute. I thought about that. It may be just be a nuclear explosion of disclosure. That would be fine. Yes. And thanks for all your contributing, Conspiracy Tarot. And yes, let's not manifest that vision. Let's make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah, we want to keep you aware and informed, but not be predictive programming here. So whenever I do a prediction, I'll always remind you that we have free will. Timelines are fluid. This is to be aware, and not to manifest it by being afraid of it, because it's, how do we manifest? By combining the mind and the heart. So if the heart's in fear and the mind has a certain intention, we're putting that energy into the collective. We don't want to do that. So thanks for making that point. No more lives taken by authoritarian rulers. Send that energy right back to the man with the code and save the innocent. And continuing in Christ consciousness and pray for all asleep in cosmic amnesia, Jesus, to all of us, and all of their names, those awoke, and this in the name of Jesus, creator in all dimensions. Thank you. Amen to that. So I have a couple of other things. I have this Starseed Oracle, because I always like to do this for these live streams. Yeah. Okay, flowers wide open. Thank you for all your beautiful, uplifting comments, everybody. So what we have here is, the cards like to stick together. We have star bathing. Yeah, let's go out and have a nice star bath, right? Light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. I'm feeling very Atlantean energy with that. So we go out, we can just kind of gaze at the stars, and maybe if you want to maybe connect with extraterrestrials, just kind of get very relaxed, open, gaze at the stars, and just feel like this sense of like longing to be back home and to be reconnected. And if you can hold that, not as a negative, but as a consciously invoked emotion or feeling, that helps to draw those energies to you. So working with emotions at the heart and intention that's the brain. When the heart and the brain blend, you blend back with spirit. So that's why I call it heart, brain, spirit coherence. Through programming and conditioning, the heart and brain to get severed, but it's been proven now scientifically, thanks to Heart Math Institute and others, that they're really two parts of the same system. So when they're in alignment and blended in coherence, then we step into a higher level of our power, and it's amazing. Our abilities to manifest get much stronger. Our ability to heal get much stronger. It enhances our immune system. And because this card popped up too, I remember soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. So fate versus destiny, just kind of similar, but different in a way. So that's kind of what it looks like. So this is what both of these cards look like side by side that I pulled. Just to maybe get a better, looks like there's a wire, creating a shadow. Well, it is eclipse season. It is shadow season. So there's this from the Starseed Oracle. Always in Christ consciousness, yeah. The divine Christed one. So last but not least, I've got the Sacred Geometry Oracle deck. So I'm going to ask Spirit, just pop right out. Synergy. Get this card all the time. But this time, I wasn't going to even pick out. It just jumped right out of the deck. So coming to Libra season, synergy is that balance, right? When two things are in synergy, they feed off of each other and become one, more powerful. So the whole is greater than its individual parts. At least that's what I'm interpreting. But what it says here is the frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to new reality. So I think this is an important message for those of us, those of you that stuck it out for the full hour. That is that what was that important message? That we just can't fear change in the unknown. It's just a survival instinct. The subconscious mind will always prefer the familiar because our subconscious mind is very much part of our survival instinct. What's predictable and known is more easily survivable. What's unknown, it gets uncomfortable in our subconscious. So, but we are intelligent beings, and we carry the resonance of Christ consciousness, of higher intelligence. So we can override those physical 3D survival instincts through 5-dimensional and above awareness, basically, and understanding no matter what happens, we'll never die. Our bodies will go, our consciousness will always live on. So I think this is really tapping into that energy. And because It's really about the Libra season. It's about integrating the heart and the brain, integrating the yin and the yang, the male and the female, all of that stuff, and finding that synergy within. And once we find it in all parts, rather than acting independently or separately, start to fire together, kind of like Hebb's law, the neurons that fire together, wire together, then we become much more efficient systems. And that's our bodies, that's our minds, that's our intention, that's our spirituality. So work towards efficiency this time, streamline, fine tuning. And then we're going to expand our awareness, and we're going to start to see things that maybe that we miss in our own lives and in the world around us. And then we become better teachers, better way showers, and we can show them the way. So yeah, that's interesting. So you're saying that fate is ego, destiny is subconscious. That's interesting. Thank you for that. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but that's interesting. Fate is what you're born with, destiny is conscience. Right. So they interlap. And going back to my training in spiritual warriorship, through years of martial arts training, and also in the early Carlos Castaneda books, for anybody that's read Carlos Castaneda, Yaqui Wave Knowledge, Journey to Ixtlan. What's the third book called? Can't remember the name. And I think it was the Wave. I'm forgetting the name. Oh, the Wave. How I'm forgetting the name. But anyways, what Don Juan Mateus would say to Carlos Castaneda in these novels, that the part of being a warrior is leaving as little as possible up to fate, basically. So so our destiny is part of our soul mission, right? So our fate, you could look at it that way anyway. Thank you for channeling. Yeah, so fate is more ego based. I could see that. So anyway, so Sunday 7 or 8, I might, but depend, but I might be 7 o'clock. It's a little bit easier to take on a Sunday, an hour earlier. All right, and so we'll do the transmissions then. Anyway, thank you everybody. Thanks for being here and contributing to our live stream. If you got in late, you can go back to the beginning. Your exciting news is that soon the new website will be available. The full-length free course, 40-minute course called the Grand Trifecta of Spirituality will be available. So I wanted to make this, offer this for people that are starting on their awakening journey. And the thing that I share there, it's foundational spirituality that some of you know. So for some of you, it's more of like visiting your foundation or strengthening it. But a lot of people are starting to awaken, and there's going to be a lot of new people. So if we're able to draw them in, because there's a lot of predators and predators and parasites out there that are going to try to grab these new people and try to get them to go down the wrong rabbit holes and control them. Here it's all authentic, it's all in integrity, and there's a genuine desire to purely awaken. So I wanted to have this available for free for people, and we'll have other free as well as paid courses and meditation and stuff like that. But I'm really excited to be able to offer that. So you learn these things, strengthen your spiritual foundation, no matter what path you follow, whatever awakening path you follow. These skills are going to make it stronger for you. So anyway, I'm really excited. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but we're in the final stages. So hopefully as soon as a couple of weeks. But there'll definitely be notices. There'll definitely be announcements. We'll definitely let you know. So anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. We will see you next time. Love you.